Good evening, and welcome to Educate Our Youth. Reading is essential. My name is Janet Thompson. I am the co-founder and CEO of the Mamie Keith and Eileen Bradley Educational Foundation, also known as Educate Our Youth. The mission of Educate Our Youth is to make college more accessible to students by offering mentoring, professional development, ACT, SAT workshops, financial literacy, help assist in applying for financial aid, and athletes over academics. Our guest this evening is Ms. Angela McCleary Rush. She is Black River Educational Consultant. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Janet?
I'm good. Good seeing you again.
Wonderful.
So tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into our question and answering.
Okay, you can just call me Ms. Rush. This is my 26th year in education.
Okay.
I've gone from being a classroom teacher for about 14 years, advanced placement, literature, and composition and language for kids. Taught at dual enrollment English courses at the college level to prepare kids for that level as well, bridging them from high school to college. I've worked with the SAT, ACT preparation for the last 26 years of my life, getting revved up and ready to go. And currently, I was the curriculum specialist over at Andrews High School. Yes.
All right. Sounds interesting. Interesting career. And you, I remember you visiting us a year or so ago, or maybe it was a year and a half ago, where you did an ACT, SAT workshop, and that was fabulous. Even I learned a lot from that session. You talk a lot about reading. What kind of reading resource do students need to prep themselves for the SAT and ACT?
They need a lot. They need to read a lot. One of the things I've found with children is they may not have the resources needed to get them where they need to be. So one of the things that parents, community members, whoever need to ensure that kids get grade level reading in their hands at grade level and above is the only thing that's going to get them to where they need to be.
You know, there's a lot of students that love to read, but what do you tell? How do you get a student that don't like to read? You know, I have a granddaughter that she's good and she's great, but I'm on her all the time about reading, and I'm trying to explain to her how essential it is to read and how it would benefit her, but I can't seem to get her motivated.
I'll go a little bit back in my career. At one point, I was a South Carolina Reading Initiative reading coach for the South Carolina Department of Education.
Okay.
And one of the duties we had over that 3-year period of that grant at C.E. Murray High School in Greeleyville.
Oh, okay.
That's where I was in my entire beginning of my teaching career. One of the issues was getting kids revved up to read and using data. And the data showed that our males at that time were not reading as much as our females. And their scores were shown in their scores. So one of the things I did was, as a coach, for years, we got kids to look at books of varying genres, varying types, and looking at the back cover and getting them to choose the reading from the table.
Okay.
Or if it was an English 1 class, making sure everything on the table was English 1 ready, but giving them the opportunity to choose from what they saw and having a lot of book talks with them. And one of the things we even did before they did that was have talks about the varying themes that were in the books on the table before they even went out there and chose one, getting them excited about it before they chose it.
So you said having to look at the back cover of the book?
We would have them at the back cover. We would have talks as they went around the table. We had big bean bags. We sat down with them. We talked about the book before they even read the book. So it made me one where I had to actually read a lot, even more than I normally would be reading, because I had to have these talks with them before they even chose the books.
So how should students apply the analytical and active? How apply being analytical and active to the reading? How does that help the reading style?
Well, one thing that students are going to have to do as they're reading, they're going to have to be able to look at the text. They're going to have to be able to, if it's a personal text, if they've purchased it or someone's purchased it for them, highlighting the text, writing notes in the corners, and these are personal notes. Not something that
Okay.
the teacher would want to see, but how does that piece in the text connect to them? They have to know how to make connections to themselves. Why am I reading this? Is this something that's going to affect me, or do I know someone that had something similar happen to them? As they're reading, they have to connect to the text.
Yeah, I can recall when doing my studies, highlighting. That helped a lot. It helped me a lot when I was in school. The other thing I want to ask you, like, what's a good age, a good grade that students should take the ACT or SAT? How early should they take it?
Well, it's according to that child's needs. Kids can begin taking this if they are gifted as early as 6th grade.
Okay.
If they're in a gifted program as early as 6th grade, in order for them to be able to qualify for the Duke Tip program. If they qualify for Duke Tip out of 6th grade,
we're going through a little storm here. I need to close my shutters.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. I am so sorry about that, viewers, but I just can't sit in the window when lightning is flashing around me.
Oh, no, that's fine. But really, the SAT, the ACT, as early as 6th grade, in order to give them placement into the Duke Tip program. And sometimes as early as 5th, but most times 6th on up for that program. And then if they are honors or just they know they're going to college,
right?
They really should, in my opinion, and I've always gotten my students to take the test after the 9th grade.
Okay.
Honor students will have taken English 1 already in 8th grade and Algebra 1 already in 8th grade. So in their 9th grade year, they will be in the English 2 honors and the geometry honors, because what the SAT and ACT the content is based on algebra and geometry. So when they're finished that 9th grade year, if they're honor students, they would take it at the end of the 9th grade. If they weren't honors students, I tell my students, and this is what I've always done, if they're in 11th grade and they weren't honors, they would take it that September of their 11th grade year just to get an idea. The state now pays for that exam for them as well. But I always tell parents, you want to get a blueprint for summer study. If you have the funds, pay for it at the beginning of their junior year if they did not take it at the end of the 9th grade year at least.
So you mentioned 6th graders that are gifted students, and that is the same SAT or ACT that a junior would take?
It is the exact same one.
Oh, okay.
But it's playing to the gifted. One of the things I realize over time, sometimes our special needs kids need a lot of help, love, and support. Our gifted kids need a lot of support as well. It may be a different way, but they're gifted, meaning that they are special needs as well.
Right. Okay. What role should parents play in helping students to develop their reading more?
On a personal level, at my house, and both of my kids are now in college. My son is at Presbyterian College, and my daughter is at Clemson.
Yes.
When they were very young, when I say young, I'm talking about a baby.
Okay.
You have to read to them between the ages of 0 and 5. You have to read to them all the time. Even having them to look at text, having them to touch the book, having excitement when the child is actually navigating the text. From 1st grade on, having the kid to read and the parent to question, but all in a fun way. One of the things I've noticed over time is that often kids draw back from reading if they feel as though they're being judged.
Right.
And there should not be judgment in reading. Every kid learns the skills at a different rate at a different time. So if you have 3 or 4 kids within your household, you will notice that every kid learns differently.
Yes.
So no judgment, but everything should be built on the love of reading, however they're reading, but making sure as they move through the process, and parents should get the kids' reading level from the school in order to help them know what to buy from Barnes and Noble. And so the parent needs to be active and not let this active ability as a parent stop in elementary. What we're noticing is after elementary, the engagement is not the same. They have to continue to move forward in helping their children through being a senior in high school. Because this SAT, ACT stuff seems very difficult for our children, and it shouldn't seem as difficult as it's being if they've been doing the amount of reading over time. Because it's not something you can fix in 1 year.
And what strategies would you suggest that would help students to do well when testing?
When testing, that book becomes theirs. That test booklet in front of them, it is their test booklet. Remember, I went back to highlighting. They can't bring a highlighter, but I always teach kids to underline, circle, write notes. As they're reading, they're circling, they're underlining, they're writing notes, and they're writing notes in the margin as they go along to help them capture their thoughts and remember what it was that they're reading. And let me go back. They need to do this forever. This needs to be the constant thing that they're doing to build their reading, their time in reading and their stamina. They have to become faster readers who also understand what it is they were reading.
Yes,
so the underlining, the drawing, the writing notes, the summarizing, the penciling, and questioning the text. Questioning what in their minds, what was it that I just read? And just kept going until the end. But the entire time. And over time, your reading stamina grows greatly. Your ability to read quicker with understanding grows quicker.
Okay. So it also helps the vocabulary as well. I found that the more you read, the more words you know and the language uses.
And that is another thing that I was going to bring up. That's why I said from babyhood. Parents, if I can't say anything else, parents have to engage with them. Once they get a certain age, it may come down to just giving them some type of incentive. And I know sometimes people say, well, it's just something they're supposed to do. And I tell parents, if that were the case, all of our kids would be beyond the top in reading. All of us need motivation in what we do. And if this motivation in getting them, I don't care if it's, I'm going to give you a $5 McDonald's gift card or a $5 Pizza Hut card as a parent, not the school. Sometimes we rely so much on the school, we forget the part that the parent must play. The kids who have the very higher scores, when they do their student surveys, we see that those kids say that their parents never stopped some incentive or some level of reading in the house, where those kids have the reading libraries. And those books don't have to be bought. Oftentimes, schools give books away for free. So building that library, however you build it, and making sure that people are reading. Reading builds vocabulary.
It does.
So, one of the things, that data shows is that, let's say I went to college, I'm an English teacher, I do this thing for a living. My kids are actively listening to me. Whatever our career is, our kids listen to us.
Right.
And let's say you're in a career that's probably making a lot more than Ms. Rush, okay? If you're a plumber and I'm having one to come late tonight, that guy makes a lot more than me. He has 2 technical degrees. He may not have almost a PhD or whatever. His language is going to be different from mine with his children. So when parents like that plumber ask me, and they often do, what do I do, Ms. Rush? I'm not you. I can't talk like that. I tell them, buy books, have them read, have them make flashcards. Have the kid to make a flashcard. What I also did is I would have my kids, personal kids, to write words on note cards.
Right. Okay.
And a picture of it on the back, and they would have to stick them around their rooms. And this would be like 5 words a day, because this is piecemealed. Like when they're reading that novel, they choose 5 words from the book that they read that day. They put the word, they put the definition, and they stick them around their room. They make it a point to go to those words that they've stuck on their room, in some corner, or if it's around it, to make sure they remember the words, that the definition of the words that they read in that text. So they would have the word, the definition, and the name of the book that they got it from.
Okay.
When they're finished with that one book, they may have 30 words from that one book, and they would take all of the sticky notes, put them back together, and staple it on the side.
Okay.
So they go to the next book, they do the exact same thing. So during this time that we have now with our kids, and they've been out for such a long time, this is a wonderful strategy for parents to use weekly to ensure that the kids are actively reading. The words power is growing, and It just gives parents a better a feeling of, I know my kid actually read it because I see the results of them reading.
And I'm glad you mentioned weekly, because I was going to ask you how much time, or how should you delegate time for them to read? I mean, I should every day should be
every day. And it's for me, it's according to grade level. If they are K2, kindergarten through second grade, they need to read at least 1 hour per day, actively reading. Actually, in my household, it was 1.5 hours. That 1.5 hours was not at the same time.
Okay.
Now that the kids are home, that 1.5 hours can be built in 30-minute segments, reading something different. But they have to either write note cards with words or write a little summary of what it was that they read during that 30 minutes on the card.
So that helps them to retain what they're reading as well, doesn't it?
But it also builds that stamina, as we were talking about. And that's K2. 3-5, I would have them to read that's about that same 1.5 hours, but of course their reading is going to be different. By that time, they should be in chapter books, whereas K2 students would just be reading the readers. But 3-5 should be at that point reading chapter books, and with the chapter books, they should do it by chapter and talking about connections between chapters.
Okay.
It should be at that point, and then you're talking 6-12 should just bump it up even to another level, right? Summarizing, note-taking, as well as active vocabulary drawing those words out. So at high 6-12, they should be doing all of those skills. Whereas K2 is a lot of support from someone, just talking about what they read, just being excited about it.
Right.
3-5 is moving them towards 6-12, but it has to be active and it has to be every day. No less than 1.5 hours a day, even if it's split up, especially now. Okay.
Great. I have some grandchildren fit that category. I need to pass that on to the parents. Okay. Some of the schools, or most of the schools now, the children don't have books to bring home anymore. Okay.
Well, I would tell parents to ask the school, because of our situation with the pandemic. Right now, the libraries are open.
Yes.
So parents need to get as many books as they can now. As many books as the library will allow them to check out according to the grade level of the child. They need to truly go to the libraries and get what they need. And of course, actively take them back. We don't know whether it will come back to a point where the libraries have to close again.
Right, exactly.
I would definitely take advantage of the public library system, because if it closes, you just keep the books that you have at that moment. Then when it opens back, you take them back and they can't charge you. Once school starts back, they might need to contact their school principal to ask, how can my child now get the books from the school? The books are just sitting there. So once school starts back, they can possibly get those same books. Well, I can almost say K2, babies in kindergarten through second grade will probably get the little packets of books to carry home. 3-5 will probably get the chapter books, a few of them. And 6-12 definitely are supposed to be reading the novels. So I'm telling parents that they need to contact schools when schools begin, and please ask, if my child is supposed to read 4 books this semester, how do I get those 4 books for the English class? Can I get them now? Can I get them now in August?
Right. And that comes with communicating with the school, guidance counselor, teachers, or whomever. You can't sit on your hands and just and listen to what the student come home and tell you. But they wouldn't let me bring my book home. And knowing that, books are accessible to them. How do you feel about children reading all those from computers? Like, I forgot, there was a electronic equipment, I forget the name of it, but it's all audibles.
Okay.
Do you think that work as well as just reading from a book itself?
What I would tell parents, when kids are learning to read, or if they're struggling readers, or if you want them to get those scores that we're talking about on the SAT and CT, it has to be something they physically read. If you have a struggling reader and they're reading, but they're getting an audible text where they're following along, that's fine. But at a point where your child can read the text, even if it's one that's online, a PDF version or an e-reader, the kid needs to read it more than a movie is not the book.
Right.
Let me show you.
That's for sure.
This is wonderful. Their eyes were watching God.
Yes.
It has Halle
I
Berry
read
on
that.
the front of it. It's a great movie, but guess what? It is not the book.
No, it's not.
So unless they actually read the book, they really don't get the gist of what this was about. So they need to read. Watching a movie cannot take the place of reading the text and doing those strategies that we just talked about. Nothing. It can't build your vocabulary. It can't build your understanding. You're not connecting to the text.
Right, exactly. So how many books per month should a student read?
And this again is according to grade level. K2 is going to read many more, hundreds, simply because K2 books are very small and read. Like usually in a kindergarten class, they'll send them home with 4 to 5 books a day, simply because you can read one of those quickly. So with parents being at home and those small reading texts, kids should be reading at least 3 of those a day when they're that age, when they're between the ages of 4 and 6. They should be reading at least 3 of those readers. And if it's a child who loves reading, really loves reading, it can be up to 6 or 7, because it's about them reading them. Now, once they get into chapter books, of course, it's going to be different. So let's say in 3rd grade with their first chapter book, that chapter book may take them a week.
Okay. Now, I hope I haven't asked you this question already, but what kind of reading resources do students need to prep themselves for the ACT and the SAT?
Okay, the biggest resource is what we've been talking about. From kindergarten to 10th grade, reading as much as possible. Nothing really beats that. However, once they get to the point where they have to take the test, there are resources that can help them build their stamina.
Okay.
What I often tell the kids on the SAT College Board website, they provide them with 10 free SAT real tests on the College Board website, where the kids can actually go do each reading test, doing exactly the strategies that we just talked about. Then they have the answers to those assessments in another document.
Okay.
But if parents want their kids to have that kind of accessibility, College Board offers 10 free SAT tests. Now, the ACT does not offer that many. They may offer one free one a year. The SATs, it just offers a little bit more resources, but resources for the ACT are also available.
Okay. So you're saying the SAT offers 10 tests?
Complete
10 free tests? Oh, really?
On their website for kids to use for practice. These are tests that were actually given at some point.
Okay.
And then, they took them and they put them on the website and said, okay, we will never give these tests again. So you can now use these tests to practice. And this is all content. All of the contents that are tested, which is reading, grammar, which is called language, and then is mathematics.
So how does math, I know we're talking about reading, but they also need to prepare for math as well, correct?
Let me tell you, and this is what students now are understanding, and I know parents may not have seen the couple of new versions of the SAT over the last 7 to 10 years. If you cannot read well, you will not do well on the math test.
Okay.
At least 50% of the questions are reading based. They have to be able to read, comprehend, understand, and extrapolate the numbers and set the numbers up in a certain way in order to even answer the question. So if they don't know what the wording is in the question, they never get the math question right. So this is another level. That's why now in the South Carolina standards for mathematics, teachers are supposed to teach the vocabulary of math, not the words that we used to get sometimes. Sometimes they use the exact language. They would use what they thought we could understand. Teachers must teach the exact language of the standards. And that exact language is the language that's going to be on the test. So if you can't say take away. If you say take away,
yes, because that was the word.
So they must speak to the language of the content that they're teaching, and that's all of them. And then the ACT tests science. There's one whole section just on science,
right?
On reading, one whole session on mathematics. It tests all of it. The ACT does.
Oh, okay. So the SAT has writing, correct?
Both tests have writing.
Okay.
Both of them. And the writing now, when you take the state test, when they're in 11th grade and they take the test And it's the same test, even though the state is paying for it. On the day in South Carolina, when all 11th graders have to take the test, every 11th grader who chooses to take the test must do the writing portion as well. What the writing portion does for any college or university is tell the college or university where the kids stand in terms of their writing ability. And I need parents to understand that kids need to really practice writing throughout elementary, middle, and high school and become good language, get their language acquisition skills in order. Because once they get that reading score and that writing score, it often dictates the type of classes that your child is going to be placed in once they get to college.
Well, now that with the coronavirus, a lot of the universities and the colleges the students are not having to take ACT or SAT. Excuse me, but they do have time to get prepared for next year.
I'll speak a little bit about that. They may not give them the SAT or the ACT as something they need in order to attend the school, but what they're going to probably do is give them their own institutional test. Every school has an institutional type test. So they will give them their institutional test to see where they are in terms of skills. Because it's not just their classes that they took in high school. They're not going to go on your transcript. They're going to still give you some type of placement test for the most part. Now, if those kids took the 8 advanced placement courses, every advanced placement course, they're supposed to take a test. So the kids who take the advanced placement courses may not be given some type of placement test because the advanced placement classes are also through College Board.
Okay, excuse me for coughing.
They're going to find some other means to figure out where their child is.
Well, that's what I was thinking when I heard that. I forgot which school it was, but I recall taking a student to Morris College, and they gave him their own placement test, even though he had taken the SAT. But I don't think his scores was that high enough, so they had him to take their placement test.
Yes, and that's what they'll do. Even a lot of schools, even if, my daughter had an extremely high SAT, ACT score, all of that, but she wanted to go to Clemson and she was in the honor college. So she had to take a placement test for her mathematics because Clemson would have started her on like calculus 2. And I'm like, oh no, she went to little E. Murray. Right. But they would not take her below calculus 1. They would not allow her to start with the low level math. Once they test you, they're going to put you in the math they think you need to be in. Whether it's a low one, whether it's a high one, they give their placement test to even place you.
Okay. Is there anything that we missed in talking about the SAT and ACT that I have not reached out to you about that you want to share with our viewers?
Okay, I would like to share a few things. Number one, the kids can now register to take the SAT at home.
Okay. Oh, at home. Okay.
They can now register to take the test at home. They have to go to the website and register.
Oh, great. That's good. With
that, they have to have a laptop with the webinar, just like we're doing now, because there's another person on the other end watching them take the test.
Oh, okay. So they are being monitored.
They will be monitored.
Okay.
Let me go back just for parents to know that the SAT and ACT may not be, all schools may not require them to have it this year. Yes. However, according to the types of schools that the kids would like to attend, you might want to make sure that your kid is prepared. But beyond the SAT and the ACT, what we've discussed tonight are the skills your kid needs just to be ready for college. The SAT and the ACT is not just to get into college. It determines what your level is in reading and analytical skills and what you are able to do in mathematics. So it's not just, I'm just taking this test and it's going to stress my child out. A lot of times it does tell you where your child is at that moment.
Okay.
It works for you as a parent to help your child get some extra help to make sure they are really ready to go to Morris, to Benedict, to South Carolina State, to Howard, to wherever they're going. You don't want to get there and that school put them in basic courses that your money is not, you're paying for it, but it's not.
Right.
So we don't want to. We want to make sure they're prepared.
it won't hurt if they take the SAT, ACT as early as possible.
It's what I always tell parents. I've never told them anything different. I've always told them they have to take it as soon as they take geometry. If they're not gifted, because we know gifted kids have a different avenue of taking it. But if they are out of 9th grade and they've taken geometry, they've taken English 2 honors, I always tell parents, go ahead and pay for that test. See where they are. Get some extra assistance. If you want them to go to Ivy League schools, if you want them to go to USC, Clemson, the schools that are going to they want to go to, but we may have a hard time getting in, they have to be prepared.
Yes.
Even if they say that they're not going to require the SAT and the ACT, remember that they're going to still give them some type of entrance exam once they hit that orientation maybe or campus. It's going to be something, because you can't get into the honors college of a university without something that proves that you can be in that honors college. They're not going to just allow you to be a student, just a regular student, if you can't prove that in some way that you can do college level work.
Exactly. But you shared some interesting information, some very important information that's really needed. I really appreciate you coming on with me this afternoon, and hopefully we'll do this again, because knowledge is power, and the more parents know about what's needed for their children, the better the children will be. If you want to look at contact Ms. Rush, you can contact,
my Google Classroom. I would like to share with any viewers, it doesn't matter. All kids, I give them the opportunity to go to the Google Classroom that I have set up. It's the SAT, ACT prep group. This is how it looks. This is the face of it. I have, whereas the SAT gives 10 free SAT tests, I am giving the kids access to my 10 free ACT sessions as well. So it's a full book of ACT on there. That's the thing they're seeing where it says 10 ACT practice. It's a full book. It's a PDF, as well as showing them how to access the 10 free tests from the SAT. And that Google Classroom code, and it's shown, is 6MZI6CN. That is a Google Classroom code. If they go to Google Classroom and go to join page, they just type in the code and they can become part of the classroom.
Great.
And I have many resources in that classroom. So that
that's good. And to reach out to educate our youth, the symbol at Educate Our Youth Info. Our website is educateouryouth.info. It's been very interesting. I've enjoyed this evening talking with Mr. Rush, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody.